Did you know that the average e-commerce store loses thousands per year due to poor email marketing practices? And most owners don't even realize it. After auditing over 100 stores, I've spotted the same 7 costly mistakes over and over. Let's go through them. If you're new to the channel, my name's Andrea. I run a digital marketing agency called Dia Creative, where we've helped businesses double and even triple their sales revenue by leveraging retention marketing tactics that build customer loyalty and keep customers coming back to buy again and again. Here you can see how much revenue we generated with 5 completely new flows in just the first 30 days. We've regularly generated an extra 30 to 50% revenue boost through email, SMS, social, and SEO for brands in e-commerce, beauty, food, pets, travel, and health and wellness. With that said, let's get right into the list. Today, we're going to get into the 7 worst e-commerce email marketing mistakes that you need to avoid. Number 1. Never rely on campaigns alone. I know that's fun. Campaigns are the easy ones. Campaigns are the ones where you get to be the most creative a lot of times. It feels like you get to be designing and coming up with like, what's our offer? What are we talking about? Is this an educational, inspirational, informational? What kind of email are we sending? The campaigns are super, super fun. They can be timely. They can be relevant. They can relate to your audience and what you're seeing trending on your social. Like this is really the place where you get to build that calendar and have a lot of fun. But this should only be a small percentage of what's coming into your email marketing channel. So even though campaigns are the fun ones, you should always make sure that you've built out flows and you're still spending your time optimizing and encouraging your flows to generate ongoing, predictable revenue. Let me go through a couple of the different industries that we've worked with and where we've seen that kind of breakout goes. Now, beauty brands is the top one example. You'll see 86% relies on campaigns, and that actually does make sense. With beauty brands, campaigns really drive your revenue because people really want to see what is the latest thing, what's the newest product, what's the newest look, what's the newest experience, before and afters, etc., whatever you're going for in this beauty brand. So campaigns are really going to be more of it. But without those flows, we'd be leaving $47,000 on the table. So definitely take the time to build out your flows. Your abandons do really well in this category because people need to be encouraged to come back to purchase. We've also found a lot of success with our win backs here in the beauty brand because there are so many beauty brands, and especially since 2020 when a lot of celebrities started creating their own beauty brands and wellness brands, there's a lot more competition. So catching people back with these automated flows can help, especially when they start ignoring your campaigns. You can see a wellness brand and a pet brand actually have a similar breakdown between campaigns flows. It's like 3-to-1 campaigns to flows. This is similarly along that same logic of the beauty brand. The flow side of things helps catch those customers that need reminders. If your pet brand has subscription though, we have found that your flows would actually bump up a little higher. This particular pet brand we were working with did not have subscription set up yet, but I would lean heavily on flows to really boost that subscription, which is what you see more with the sports brand. The sports brand had a subscription offer, and so this really helped us lean on flows. It also helped us generate more of that long-term understanding of their product. Campaigns, it's a little bit harder to get that education for a more complex product, but on the flow side, we were able to explain the technology and how it works and how you should continue to use it. For your hobbyist brand, you can see also same thing. This is leaning on flows a lot because it is a very consumable product. So as those consumables start being consumed, you lean more on the flows to remind people to purchase again. You get them into the loyalty program. You kind of lean on flows to have that ongoing day-to-day conversation. And campaigns we leaned on significantly less because campaigns were more used as special one-time offers to grab attention or as a nice little revenue lever that we needed when we needed just a little bit more revenue without abusing the list. So looking across industries, you can see that this breakdown's not always going to be the same, and that's perfectly normal. Even within these different industries, you're going to see a different breakdown based on how your customers expect to interact with your brand. Are they looking for a lot of really timely, very specific content? Then you might be leaning a lot more in campaigns. Or are they looking for something that's more of like a relationship brand where you continue to nurture them through flows and you just kind of remind them that you're there, make it easy for them to shop again for the things that they need to shop for because they've consumed them, or they're on a subscription plan where they need to constantly be reminded, or make it super easy for them to purchase again. Remember, flows are really great for encouraging and reminding people to purchase and making it super easy for them. The less amount of clicks, the more likely you are to get the conversions, versus campaigns where you just need to excite them to grab their attention again in a very busy, crowded marketplace. Longer time delays in flows might lose a customer. People are getting inundated with emails all the time. So there is a balance between you don't want to be part of these brands that inundates people, but you also don't want to get lost in the shuffle. If you make your time delays too long, we've actually seen unsubscribe rates go up because people feel like you've forgotten about them. I've said this in other videos, but remember, email marketing is a relationship builder with your customers. That's how you get that customer loyalty. Early on in your welcome flow, as an example, you are in that first stage of dating. You know, you're sending them a couple emails, getting to know your brand, building that relationship, building that trust, so they'll feel comfortable making that first purchase with you. If you take too long to do that, they get distracted, they forget about your brand, and by the time that next welcome flow email comes in, they unsubscribe. You can see here that we have, in some cases, wait 2 hours, and in some cases, 22 hours. Typically, what we'd recommend, especially in a welcome flow, is don't wait more than 24 hours. That's that initial dating period. You don't want to lose their interest. You want to keep that conversation going. I have another video where I walk through the top 10 email marketing tactics for 2025, and we specifically talk through this conditional split that you're seeing right here. One thing that we've found is that if you send welcome flow email and they open, then you want to wait 22 hours. So you have the 2 hours here and the 22, so that gives you 24 hours. So that's a good base. But we have found that if they do not open, you can hit them again with a different kind of email 2 hours later to just really get that engagement when they're still really interested in you and curious to learn more. Number 3, missing profile filters in the flows. Now, this is a more technical mistake, but it is super, super critical you spend the time doing this. Nearly every single sophisticated email marketing platform out there, I'm talking your Iterable, your Braze, your Klaviyo, your Attentive, all of these have profile filters and settings that you absolutely need to be using. Sending irrelevant emails, untimely emails can increase your unsubscribe rate by 66% on average. This is huge and will cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars. What exactly does this mean? Well, when you don't have these filters set up properly, you could be sending abandoned carts after somebody has already made their purchase, as an example. In fact, with a brand new client that we got a couple months ago, we started digging into their data and we found the number one reason for unsubscribes and customer complaints through their CX team was because people were getting review requests the day their product was delivered. They didn't even get a chance to open the box and experience it. And it just really was off-putting and it cost them quite a bit. We were able to fix that by making sure that we had all of our timings correct across all of the flows. Now here's an example from Klaviyo where you can see the metric is viewed product, but limit the trigger to only certain profiles. This is the area right here where you're going to want to make sure that you set up all the profile filters. And here are some examples of ones we set up. So started checkout 0 times since starting this flow, viewed the product 0 times since starting the flow, and placed the order 0 times since starting this flow, and has not been in the flow in the last 7 days. You don't want to hit people with the exact same flow all over again. So this is a great example of how you want to build out your filters to ensure that you're excluding the right people and that your flows make sense in that conversation you're having with your customers. Number 4, never give the discount code in the pop-up. And actually, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the nuances of this one. So I have seen pop-ups where the discount code is actually in the pop-up itself. So don't do that. This is your incentive for them to give you something of value to them, their email address, their SMS. So don't give them the code without the trade. It's a little quid pro quo, let's say. The other thing I'd say though is we have tested a number of different pop-up styles, and there are a couple platforms that do this in a unique way where they can still grab the information without being annoying about it. In another video, we go through the testing that we've done on a mystery pop-up code or a mystery offer. I think the other thing is make sure that you're not using the same discount codes. And I feel like I say this in all my videos is don't use welcome 10, welcome 15, welcome 20. That's everywhere. People are going to use that without giving you their information. And that's what you're incentivizing them to do. Here's an example of a pop-up we made. You'll see in this pop-up, not only do we not give the discount code, but we also give them a call to action. Go to your inbox to get the discount that you have now earned by giving us your email address or your SMS number. We even are very clear about can't find it, check your spam folder. This is super important because this is a way that you can encourage them to tell their ESP, their Google, their Yahoo, their Microsoft, that your emails are actually super important and should be coming to your inbox, not to your promotions folder, not to your spam folder. that this is a brand that you want to interact with. And that not only encourages ESPs to understand that you in particular want to hear from this brand, but the more people we have doing that, we've found that statistically our emails pop up in inboxes more often than not, as long as enough people are consistently pushing us into their inbox. So this is a really critical step. Now, this example right here is from Klaviyo. 200,000 stores are using Klaviyo. So this is probably going to be your experience. That being said, if you want to explore some other interesting ways to get around putting out that discount code, but making the experience easier, I'd recommend checking out Attentive and Postscript. Attentive is a fantastic SMS and email platform for Shopify Plus accounts. They're a little bit more expensive than Klaviyo, but they have shown higher deliverability rates on SMS and email. They have a patented 2-tap sign-up technology, which basically means they make it super easy that when you come to your pop-up, that you can instantly send a text message to the brand that signs you up. So you don't have to go back to your SMS, you don't have to put in a code. That makes it super easy. This does force you off the site and into your SMS platform, but it is a way for them to verify that your SMS number that you've submitted is accurate. And it does instantly move you into that conversation. So when you're building out your flows in a platform like Attentive, you really need to think through that their very first interaction with you is actually them texting you rather than you texting them. And what do you want that relationship and customer journey to look like? As you see across different platforms, even, you will adjust your strategy based on the technology that you have available to you. Postscript is another really prominent SMS platform. Unlike other platforms that started with SMS and then brought in email and CDPs and etc. to expand what they offer, Postscript is very diligently sticking to SMS. That is their thing. That is all they do. They pride themselves on being the most compliant platform out there. They really make sure that they do a really strong job. Now, Postscript's sign-up technology is unique. It still connects into Klaviyo if that's where you're going to be running email. It actually connects into a number of different email marketing platforms because it doesn't provide email, but they prefer their pop-ups be in Postscript. Now, the first step is email, and the second step is SMS. This is where Postscript validates your phone number instantly and then gives you the discount code in the pop-up itself. So right after you give them your email address and your SMS number, the pop-up will say, great, now click here to get your discount, and it already populates it in the cart. So you're not taken out of your shopping experience. This also will affect how you build out your welcome flow, because now there is really no interaction with your welcome flow from the beginning. And if you do want to incentivize revenue above all else, this platform allows you to keep them in that shopping experience so that they can convert first. And then secondarily, you will have that relationship with them by sending them text messages, etc. All of this is to say, don't give away your discount code until you get something in return for it. Number 5, ignoring mobile optimization. Don't ignore mobile. I feel like we've been saying this for years, especially with web development, but what a lot of people don't consider is email as well. More and more people are checking their email on their phone. And obviously people check their SMSs on their phone. So think small screen, vertical, and make sure that you have the right breakdown of information to fit within that scope. Now, you can optimize for desktop and mobile. Platforms like Klaviyo do let you have a desktop version and a mobile version when you're designing out, but make sure that you're considering, if you're not going to do a mobile version, that your desktop version isn't too busy and can be viewed properly and nicely on mobile. If not, then you just need to create a different version that's for mobile. As an example, this is an email that we created for one of our brands for desktop. You can see it's very copy heavy. And this is actually really strong for desktop. They have a lot of their customers that are B2B. And so we have found that emails are primarily opened on desktop. So we tend to design desktop first for this brand. Secondarily, we will make a mobile version that's a lot more simplified, has a lot more space, and might even have less products and less content so that it is more mobile friendly. Overusing discounts. I know we like the discount, especially when we're trying to incentivize user behavior or incentivize them or compensate them for giving us their email or SMS number. Here's my little caveat to this. If you are a brand where your customers are used to discounts, where they've been trained into it, where there's expectations of it, you can't just suddenly stop. doing discounts. There will be an adjustment period. There will be a list replenishment period where you bring in new people that don't know how many discounts you offer, while the existing customers either get more comfortable with the least amount of discounts you're offering, or they leave your brand, or you incentivize them in other ways through like loyalty points that they can turn into discounts. There is a definite transition that you would need to do. But if you're a brand where most brands lie, where you're not a discount heavy brand, where people don't expect it, then really try not to start off on the wrong foot and don't start by overusing your discounts. The nice little side story I like to talk about is JCPenney, which had built a relationship with its customers that they knew coupons were coming and that they had to use them. They got in a new leader and they had decided to just cut them off cold turkey, and the business collapsed. So definitely make sure that whenever you have a relationship with your customers, that you understand each other and that you understand what the other expects so you can continue to build on that healthy relationship. We have ways that we can do this transition healthfully if you do want to move away from discounts, but let's get back to the topic. Just don't overuse your discounts from the beginning. And let me show you what that means. So here's an example of a bunch of different flows that you might have, and here are all the different offers. When you actually look at everything here, you'll see that every single flow touch point your customer has with your brand has some sort of percentage discount. They are 100% trained to expect it. And I bet you anything, if this is what you're doing in your flows, you're doing something very similar in your campaigns. But what are your alternatives? You might feel stuck. You might be like, well, of course, if I send a flow, I have to send them an incentive. But there are other ways to do that. Here's a very similar list where you would go through. In your abandoned cart, instead of leaning on discounts, lean on testimonials, UGC, ways for your brand to feel more connected to the customer. Abandoned cart just means they got all the way to the cart and then chickened out. Why did they chicken out? Maybe they were questioning whether or not you're legit. So adding in testimonials, adding in press proof, adding in UGC in your abandoned cart could actually be just as effective, if not more effective, than offering a discount code when they're already so trained to expect discount codes from everything. Abandoned checkout. A lot of times we'll see abandoned checkouts happen because shipping costs are higher than they have expected. Unfortunately, people are so used to Amazon Prime culture where they're expecting free shipping from everything. They are willing to pay shipping costs for brands that they really like or that are new and that aren't on Amazon. But if the shipping cost is a little high, as we've seen, especially in the food industry, because you've got a lot of glass or liquid or packaging, that offering some sort of free shipping or discounted shipping or anything along those lines could really help with that first purchase. But once they've gotten past that first purchase, and this is so important and why you should have 2 different flows as often as possible for new versus returning customers, they'll pay for shipping because they've fallen in love with your product. Now you can offer them loyalty points or a loyalty program or a subscription service with their returning customer. They don't need free shipping anymore. Birthday, yes, you're offering them a discount or a free gift with purchase for their birthday, anything along those lines. I do think that this is one of the flows that really should be incentivized. Your browse abandonment, you could focus more on the results, because if they've come to your site and they've abandoned, I also would say, please avoid the creepy language of "we saw you looking" or "you were checking out our site, we saw you checking us out." I've seen a lot of that. I don't think that works very well. I think instead make it feel almost like a campaign email that happens to be timely enough in the sense that they browsed your site and now you happen to send them something that will make them feel more confident in making the shopping decision to buy your products. Pop-ups and opt-ins usually have some sort of discount. I think that's to be expected at this point. But I do recommend, if you have one of those permanent opt-ins on your site, a lot of brands have this in their footer, instead of doing a discount, offer a free guide or something that is special and unique to your brand, something that makes them feel like they can get to know you better and would be interesting enough and add enough value to their life. Remember, it can't just be all about you, but if you add like top 10 ways to do your hair, with or without our product, that's super helpful. I would download that guide and I'd give you my email address for that. And then in there, it happens to tell me about how your product makes it easier or better for me. Then that all sounds like a great thing. Post purchases, they've already purchased. Introduce your loyalty program, introduce a refer a friend if they're a returning customer, because if they've bought more than once, then they should be telling their friends and family. Price drop is just standard. Don't offer additional discounts. The price has already dropped. Repeat buyer flows, message from the CEO, shipping notifications, same thing. Thank you from the CEO. These types of messages do really well. Replenishment reminder, introduce a subscription program if you have one. If you don't, get a subscription program or a loyalty program, or get something that encourages them and makes it easy for them to buy again. A lot of customers actually really value subscription programs because it ensures that they get what they need on time, every time, and they never have to run out. Shipping notifications, once the order is delivered, explain your product. If your product is super simple, then throw in some UGC. Show them how other people share their experiences so they feel incentivized, encouraged to share their own experience. Subscription flow, I just put 20% off here. I found a lot of subscription programs are about 20% on average. So this is just what discount you'd get when you subscribe and save. Upsells, focus on the benefits. Focus about how your product goes together really well with that upsell product, or by bundling and saving instead of offering a discount is just like have them increase their AOV on your store, which would be great. Have them increase their LTV. So AOV and LTV are definitely places that email can help and generate more loyalty and more revenue long-term. VIP, probably a loyalty program, or there would be some sort of incentivized discount. Welcome flows, you really need to offer whatever you incentivized in the sign up screen. In the pop-up, if they signed up through opt-in or if they somehow ended up on your welcome flow without the pop-up, you can introduce loyalty because they're a returning customer. Now your win backs are super important. I think that one you do have to offer some sort of incentive, and there's a number of different ways to do that. We found one really interesting strategy with WinBack is to actually in the WinBack ask them why they haven't purchased again. And from there, we've discovered, especially post-COVID, that a couple brands, it was because financial circumstances had changed and they couldn't afford our product anymore. So the discount actually made a really big difference. Other times it was, I want a different color, I want a different flavor. This was a one-time thing, I don't think I need it anymore, or valuable feedback for why your product isn't meeting their needs anymore, so you can optimize the product in the next generation. Last but not least, number 7, not focusing enough on your analytics. Email marketing platforms have some amazingly robust analytics, and I know you can get lost in there. And I think a lot of people focus on their immediate analytics. They're looking at their last couple campaign sends, they're looking at their open rate, click-through rate, revenue, and they're like, all right, that's enough. But there's actually a lot more to dig into, especially with the deliverability changes in 2024 and 2025 that you need to be focusing on. What is your bounce rate? What is your unsubscribe rate? How are your audiences interacting with your emails? How are you segmenting your audiences so you can get more valuable data? One big thing that we saw is we moved a couple people from MailChimp to Klaviyo, and that alone made such a difference in understanding the analytics that we were seeing on the different platforms. It also helped with deliverability. But one big thing we saw is MailChimp was actually hiding quite a bit of emails because they were not getting clear enough data from the e-commerce platform that we had permission to email those particular email addresses. We had about 30,000 email addresses that were hidden in MailChimp that we only discovered once we got to Klaviyo and we started digging into the list and digging into performance and understanding what was relevant where and who was missing and what data showed that people were actually engaged users but were showing as unengaged in another platform. So I really say take the time to understand where your analytics are and how you should be using them. The other ones that I'd highly recommend is going into your SMS analytics. So Klaviyo, Attentive, Postscript, Yotpo, all of these have in-depth analytics available to you. You can also export these and look at them through a CSV file and then uploading them into a Tableau if you want for more visualization. I actually found that most of these platforms I can get a decent idea in there, but I would go back to the last week to date, month to date, the last 30 days, which might be different, the last quarter, and then this time last year, what were the expectations? Where were we running? Are we outperforming, underperforming where we were last year? Obviously, keep the world in consideration when you're looking at your past analytics because there was a pandemic and there are elections that always affect these numbers a little bit versus year over year. But digging into these analytics is so critical. So if you click on your analytics and go over to dashboards, we typically build out our standard dashboards so you have the conversion summary first and foremost. Like, let's see where our breakdown is, what our flows are doing, how the different numbers are for each month, your campaign versus flow breakdown. And you see that there's a difference every month as we expect based on our strategy. Campaign performance, you can see your placed order rate might be a little low. For this brand in particular, our placed order rate is low because we've been focusing primarily on B2B, which is more of a lead than an e-commerce revenue number. So this is going to be poor, but we're expecting it to be because instead we're tracking through our Google Analytics what the conversion rate is to the lead form that the emails are sending them to. And then you can see the different campaigns, the flows performance. Open rate is fair here, so let's see what we can do to keep improving doing this. You can see we've already improved it by 21%, but what else can we do? I think this is a good example to show you what the reality is when you're in an agency running multiple brands and what it's like when you're in your own brand. Is look at this data weekly, monthly, see where you're underperforming. It's great we're up 21%, but we could definitely keep doing better. So what else can we do to optimize our open rates? And we have other videos where we go through how to optimize each of these rates. But when we're looking in particular to optimizing the open rate, we want to be testing out subject line, preview line. We want to be testing out the name that we're sending from, the account that we're sending from. Here you see a good placed order rate because these are our flows. Now our flows were primarily designed for this brand to send people to the e-commerce store, whereas our campaigns, we've been pushing more to get to that B2B business. So this is a great example of how we actually balance a B2B and B2C account within the same Klaviyo. That's our list of the top 7 mistakes in email marketing that our agency has caught over the last year, working with a variety of different brands across a variety of different industries. But please remember, making mistakes is part of marketing. It's part of life all the time. So it's totally okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and you grow. Hopefully you will avoid making these particular mistakes next time you are digging into your email marketing strategy. Now, if you want to ensure your email campaigns are generating as much profit as possible, contact me using the link below and let's get started working together. If you're not quite ready for that yet, check out our other video where I explain the 10 most effective e-commerce email marketing tactics for 2025. See you over there.